Thanks for joining us for Kanuka home practice. Today's slow flow is going to be exploring bounces on our forearms. So we're hoping to activate the core and find a little bit of strength here. All you'll need for today's practice is your yoga mat, but if you'd like to bring in blocks or blankets, feel free to do that as well. Hello, we're going to begin our practice in a comfortable seat. So you may like to sit on a blanket, a block, or any other prop that's going to make you feel a little bit more comfortable. Once you've found your comfortable seat, I invite you to close down the eyes or soften your gaze to help you arrive right here, right now for your practice. Beginning to draw your focus inward, letting go of any stories or thoughts from outside of your practice. Beginning to observe what's happening within right now. Noticing any sensations within the body. Feeling the breath running up and down the center of your core. Maybe on the inhale, bringing a little bit more length to the spine. And on the exhale, softening the shoulders and tipping the tailbone down towards the floor. Beginning to find a pace of breath that you can carry throughout practice today. Feeling the belly expand out and contract in, allowing that breath to travel deep down into the body. And taking the next few moments to set an intention for your practice today. Maybe an affirmation. You might like to breathe in the affirmation, I am powerful. Once that intention has been set, beginning to arrive back onto the mat, and we'll begin some movement. On your next inhale, let's lift the arms up. Exhale, draw the elbows back and down, shoulder width height. Inhale up. Exhale, finding your cactus arms, starting to expand the chest. Inhale, arms reach overhead. Exhale, finding cactus pose with the arms, shoulder blades tucking towards each other in the back. Inhale up. Exhale, cactus arms. One more time like this. And you can draw the palms all the way down to the mat. Inhaling, one arm up and finding a side bend here. And switching sides, drawing that top arm down and lifting up the opposite arm for a side bend. Inhaling here, exhale, switch sides, inhale up and over. Exhale, overturn the hand down, inhale up and over. So like this, we're matching our breath with this movement. Starting to find a sense of expansion through the arms. And return the hands back to center. One more time, lift both arms up in the air. Exhale, finding cactus arms. Inhale up. Exhale, cactus arms. Inhale up. Exhale all the way down and find your side bend on the next inhale. Swaying the arms back and forth with your breath. You may be going at a different pace than I am. That's totally fine. Beginning to practice breath with movement. And return to center, finding your comfortable seat one more time, and a few breaths here to settle. Perhaps bringing that affirmation or intention into the mind. And rolling over into your child's pose. Taking the knees out wide, hips drawing down to the heels. Lay the arms out long behind you and take a few breaths here. Allowing a bit of time here to lengthen out the spine, open up the hips as we feel a little bit more grounded and rooted to earth. Today we will be focusing a little bit more on the core and powering up there. But at any time, feel free to drop into your child's pose. From child's pose, we're going to draw up into tabletop, taking the hands under the shoulders, knees about hip width apart. Coming into a few cat-cows. Feel free to go at your own pace or follow me, inhaling the belly down and scooping the tailbone up so that you've got an arch in the lower back as the chest faces forward, shoulders away from the ears for cow pose. Exhale, draw the back up towards the ceiling, tucking the belly button into the spine, scooping in the tailbone, and tucking the chin. Inhale, drop the belly down, arch the lower back, lifting up the sit bones, gaze comes forward. Exhale, dome through the back for your cat. And continue for a few more rounds of cat-cow, allowing your breath to guide your transitions. Really feeling in all the nooks and crannies along the back body. Taking your time to explore these spaces. And bringing any free movement here that you like. Any additional sways, rocks. Maybe you add another pose or a roll in there. Do whatever feels good for you and your body here. And once you've found enough space here in cat-cow, take the hands forward and lower the belly down from the pubic bone to the hips to the belly button, coming into space. Elbows are going to be underneath the shoulders. Forearms are firmly placed down onto the mat here. You can lift the leg and kind of scoot it back a little bit for just a little bit more length. And with the elbows, pressing them down and in towards the hips, creating a bit more traction or release from the spine out of the pelvis. Finding this gentle back bend here, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears in case we've started to sink in. Finding lift. Few breaths here. And we're Going to move into a regressed vinyasa. So take the hands underneath the shoulders, come up through tabletop, and drop down into child's pose for a moment. And we'll find a bit of a flow here. Come up through your tabletop, find supported plank, shoulders over the wrists, lower down. Inhale up for your low cobra, quite light on the hands, and press back, tabletop to child's pose. And again, coming up through to your supported plank, lowering down, elbows close to the ribs for chaturanga. Inhale up for low cobra. Exhale down and press back into child's pose. So this is a variation of your vinyasa flow. Let's continue one more time. You may like to modify this. And every vinyasa flow can look different, getting whatever you need from this. Pausing in child's pose, coming back to the breath here. And to work a little bit of core, because we're focused on our own power today, coming into your supported plank, you're going to lower down onto the elbows, similar to Sphinx, but keeping the belly and the hips up. So this is a supported forearm plank. I'm going to press through the elbows, almost like doming through the upper back here. Drawing the belly button up into the ribs. Holding here for your forearm plank. And press back into child's pose. Give it a bit of a rest. From child's pose, gonna come into down dog. Tuck the toes, press through the hands, lift up the hips. Generous bend in the knees as we find length in the spine, extending the arms, lifting the tops of the shoulders away from the mat. And then begin to pedal out the feet or walk your dog, taking any movements here with the legs. That's going to allow you to feel your down dog shape a bit more comfortably. Taking as much time as you need. And once you've found your down dog shape, finding a little bit of stillness here. We're going to play with the dolphin pose, coming back into that forearm stand. So you can lower the knees, place the forearms down on the ground. My arms are like in parallel railroad tracks, elbows underneath the shoulders. From here, pressing into the palms, lifting back up, finding dolphin pose. Now it is possible to come into your dolphin pose straight from down dog, so feel free to do that. Or if you liked the more gentle entry, coming down onto the knees first before lifting up the hips. And coming back into child's pose for a moment. Tucking the toes, coming up into down dog, and then walking forward, finding your forward fold. Modifying this fold to suit your needs today. A little bend in the knees is always nice. We're just going to aim to keep the crown of the head falling forward and continuing with our steady breath. Inhale up to rise, rooting down through the feet. Inhale the arms up. Exhale them down the center line to the heart. Find a few breaths here in your Tadasana. Going into our flow soon, inhale the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Hinging at the hips, leading with the chest. Inhale up, halfway lift. Draw the belly button into the spine here, crown of the head's pointing forward. Exhale, step back. You can lower the knees and do a supported vinyasa or come into any other vinyasa that feels good for you. We'll meet in down dog. Working with our forearm stands, going to shift forward into our high plank. And come down onto the elbows. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Hold this forearm plank for a few breaths. Firing up the core, drawing the belly button away from the floor, pressing through the elbows so we find lift through the back of the shoulders. And when you're ready, you can come into child's pose for a moment. Breathing here. Draw back up to tabletop. Bring the right foot forward to the outside of the right hand. We're going into a lunge here. Opening up the right hip. If you'd like to modify this lunge in any other way, maybe using blocks, maybe taking the foot to the inside of your hand instead of the outside, feel free to do that. But we're looking for a hip opener. Finding the lunge here. And then tuck the toes, step the right foot back, lower down into that forearm plank again. Take a few breaths here. Lower the knees down, press back into child's pose for a moment. Tucking the toes, coming into down dog. And finding dolphin pose another time. Again, you can come in by coming in through tabletop, or if you'd like to drop down onto the elbows, lowering the elbows, and finding dolphin pose like this. Finding this forearm stand and a few breaths here. And we'll vinyasa, taking whatever vinyasa you'd like, supported on the knees, or coming in from a high plank, up to you. Meeting in down dog. And we'll do the left side. So from down dog, move into your high plank. Lower back down into your forearm plank. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Few breaths here, drawing the belly button away from the floor. And lower the knees. Bring the hips back for child's pose for a moment. Find a breath. Come up through tabletop. Take the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Finding a lunge here. I'm staying up on my hands, allowing a bit more time to open up the hips. But if you want to modify this lunge to something else, feel free to do that. It's your practice. I'm only here to guide you. Tuck the back toe, step into your high plank, lower down again into your forearm plank. We're finding our power here in our core, lifting the abdomens away from the floor here, finding our breath. And lower the knees, come back into child's pose for a moment. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, find down dog. And moving into dolphin, whatever entry that you'd like. Coming right onto the elbows or lowering the knees first, then lowering the elbows before lifting up the hips. Up to you. Few breaths here, and then lowering the knees, coming into your vinyasa. However that looks like today. And we'll meet in tabletop. So if you'd like to continue working with that flow, do that a few more rounds on the left and right side now. Or if you're ready to wind down practice, continue following me. From tabletop, we're going to thread the needle so we can give a little bit more stretch out into the shoulders. Lifting up the right arm and lowering it underneath us, resting the right shoulder onto the ground and the side of the face here. Aiming to keep your hips centered. So notice if they're a little out of line, and see if you can bring them back to center. This gentle twist here as we open up the shoulders and raise on up. You can give that right arm a stretch one more time. Coming back to tabletop, we'll do the left hand, left arm up in the air, and tuck it underneath the body like you're threading the needle, lowering the left side of the head down. The right hand can be placed right in front of the face, or you might like to extend it out. Up to you. Recentering the hips. If you've noticed maybe the right side start to jut out, can you pull it back so that the pelvis is more neutral? I'm just holding this here for a few more breaths. And we're going to unwind, bringing the left arm up and coming back into tabletop. We're going to come into a seat now, finding butterfly pose. Soles of the feet are going to be facing each other. You can have them open if you'd like a more open hip placement, or you can draw the heels towards each other and into the body. Taking whatever angle feels good for you, we're going to go into a forward fold. So let's find lift first, drawing the spine up and out of the seat, and then as you exhale, coming into a fold. Few breaths here. And staying here for as long as you'd like. We're going to close our practice. So, if you would like a little bit more time on your mat today, feel free to add any other movements now and then go into your own shavasana or meditation, or follow me as we take a few breaths together to seal our practice. So moving back into your comfortable seat, perhaps that's still in butterfly pose or easy cross legs. Closing down the eyes, we'll take 3 full breaths together. Inhaling deeply through the nose. Exhaling out of the nose. Second breath, inhaling. Exhaling. Last breath together. Maybe you sigh it out the mouth this time. Feel free to sit here as long as you'd like, maybe bringing that intention or affirmation into the mind one more time. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through your practice today. Namaste.